All right, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Got my brand new boat. This is a 2020 Bass Cat Cougar FTD. Man, she's pretty. Lowrance Electronics Ghost Trawler motor, power poles, loaded. But today, we're not going to do a lot of fishing. We're mainly going to break this boat in. And I have a lot of questions and comments about the correct way to break a boat in. And I'm going to try to walk you through it today out on the water. We're out here on the tidal Delaware River. This time of the year, it's one of the only things that's not frozen. So it's a good kind of river to break the boat in. The goal today is to get about 3 or 4 hours on this motor. But keep in mind, a true break-in, you want about 8 or 10 hours on it. But we're going to do about 3 or 4 hours on it today. I want to go over with you a couple of the things. First one is these motors ship without oil. So make sure you read the manufacturer's specs, get it filled up with oil. Don't overfill it, but make sure it's filled up with oil and it's ready to go. Number 2, first time you fill this thing up with gas, it's going to have a lot of air bladders. So one of the first things I want to do, I want to show you this, is I want to pump some gas into the motor. So I'm just going to get my ball, and I'm going to squeeze that thing, and I want to keep squeezing it until it gets nice and hard. I want to get that gas flowing in there. The other thing you can do to help get gas flowing is turn the key to help start priming the bulb. So get a little gas flowing, then once you get out there and you go to crank it, she'll crank right up. Let's get out in the water, and I'm going to go over some of the normal RPMs per hour that you should follow during your break-in. All right, everybody, here we go. I'm going to turn this motor over for the first time. We pumped the ball, got the key turned to get it primed. We're going to hear this baby crank over for the first time, hopefully here, just a second. Oh yeah, it wants to do it. It wants to do it. Hold on. Hold on. There she goes. There she is. First time I turned her over. Okay, now listen. Break-in is important. You want to get about 8 or 10 hours on this motor. But the first 2 hours are the most critical. The first 2 hours are the most critical. There's a little variation once you get above 3, but the first 2 hours, we want to keep it pretty standard. That first hour, I want to avoid going full throttle. Never want to put it in full throttle. I want to stay around 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs. Basically, just enough to keep it on pad on a bass boat, especially like this Bass Cat Cougar. So about 2,000, 2,500 RPMs for the first hour. Second hour, going to move it up a little bit. I'm going to go 2,500 to about 3,000 RPMs. Once again, on that second hour, man, I never want to bring it into full throttle, especially for any extended periods of time. Every next hour, I'm going to bump it up just a little bit in the RPMs. So third hour, 3,000 to 3,500. Fourth hour, 35 to 4,000. Fifth hour, 4,000 to 45. Sixth hour, 45 to 5,000 RPMs. After those first 2 hours, you can give it bursts of full throttle, but don't run it full throttle for very long. Just give it little bursts. Once you get it past that 5th or 6th hour, you can start giving it a little bit of throttle, but always vary it. Until you get to that 8 or 10 hour mark, never run at one constant speed the whole time. So even in that first and second hour, don't keep running it just at this very same RPMs. Play with it a little bit, right? Just give it a little more, a little less to stay in that range. All right, enough talking. We're gonna go out and start breaking this boat in. This is my first hour. Come on, let's break in. All right, everybody, here we go. We're idling out of the marina, and there she goes, running for the first time. What we're going to do is for the first 30 minutes, so essentially I'm going to idle out of this area for 30 minutes. I'm going to keep it idle speed. Idle speed up to 2,000 RPMs, not more than 2,000 RPMs. Once I get 30 minutes of idle, 0.5 hours on there, then I'm going to start my process of going up in RPMs every hour, okay? So first 30 minutes, idle to 2,000 RPMs. That's it. The next hour, ready for this? We're going to go 2 to 3,000 RPMs. The next hour, now we're at, an hour and a half to 2 hours. We're going to go 3,000 to 3,500 RPMs. The next hour, 3,500 to 4,000 RPMs. The next hour, 4,000 to 4,500 RPMs. All the way up till we get to that 5,000 RPM mark. The other thing I want to do is I want to constantly adjust my throttle speed just a little bit during all those hours. I want to just vary it a little bit, just change it up. And then the last thing I want you to remember is never go full throttle for long periods of time. When you get to that 4th and 5th hour, you can give it short bursts of full throttle, but don't keep it there very long. Don't give it a long period of full throttle, in fact, until you get to about 8 hours, okay? So, real simple braking procedure. First 30 minutes, idle. Next 30 minutes, 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs. And then from the next hour there, just keep bumping it up. So, we're going to work on this idle, and then we're going to go on our first hour of braking.